I'm Master Saturn. Thank you for joining me for another BDSM United podcast in our Kink Ethics 101 mini series that we're doing right now. We have a lot of different series that we've done in the past, things in different kinds of slave training series, and ones on sex magic and ones on roles and identities. I can think of a lot of different ones from the past. But lately, we've been talking about ethics. Ethics is important because it helps us answer the why we do things, and the how we should act, how we should act in our own personal relationships, and how we should act within our local community, how we should act on FetLife, how we should act on Facebook, how we should act on Twitter and Reddit and everywhere else. There is a certain ethics to our communities and to how we do kink. And so we've been talking about ethics. I recently bought a book on Ethics 101, and I have shared on our Facebook and on our blog the link to that book. And it's really helping me out because it helps me kind of give me an outline to know the things that we want to talk about, and kind of guides me in this discussion. And I think you would find it valuable. And I'm sharing how it applies within the kink space and within the BDSM world. And one of those, we're still kind of looking at different types of ethics. And we were looking in a past episode on the Greek philosophers. We saw that there were three main ones, and it went from Socrates and to his student Aristotle and to his student and Plato. And today we want to talk about the first one. We want to talk about the Socratic method. The period in which Socrates lived in Athens was known as the Golden Age, in part because of Socrates' contributions to elevating human knowledge, reason, and understanding. Socrates was educated by an early philosopher named Anna. It's really hard to pronounce. Anaxagoras. Oh, I can't. I'm really butchering that. It's spelled Anaxagoras, and that X is really messing me up in the middle of it. Eventually, he switched almost entirely to philosophy because he was originally splitting his time between philosophy and cosmology, which is the study of the nature of reality. And he's eventually switched entirely almost to philosophy. As a way to learn, he always asked questions, pestering residents of Athens to make them realize they didn't even have a moral code. We all know the person that asks questions. We all know a little person in age that asks why. Before Socrates streamlined philosophy and ethics to be about why humans do what they do, philosophy was about the intersection of metaphysics, religion, and science. But Socrates was interested in the theoretical notions that prompted all of those other fields. He was the first to assert that philosophy should be about figuring out how people should live their lives, and that the cornerstone of ethics was determining which virtues carried the most merit. It's possible that Socrates' most important legacy for us is the introduction of the dialectical method of questioning. Basically, that boils down to cross-examination. It's since come to be known as the Socratic method. The Socratic method is like a savvy scientific approach to discussing philosophical questions and really highly conceptual notions. Technically, this method of inquiry is a process of negative hypotheses elimination. It is found by two parties debating each other on a topic, asking questions, raising objections, and then eliminating potential possibilities as they are disproven. The Socratic method would later be adopted into the very similar scientific method that is used to determine truths about the physical world. So, if you hear someone talk about the scientific method, it is an adopted form of the Socratic method. The Socratic method breaks down a problem into a series of small questions. We like that. We like small questions. They're sometimes easier to handle for us, for probably our small brains. The answers help the participants craft and hone a solution, making it better and better and more difficult to refute or disprove, and therefore more likely to be true. This leads to much rational thinking and the singling out of good ideas. Socrates advocated a life of virtue. To Socrates, living a moral, wholesome, and decent life was in the best interest of everyone, including the individual. He felt the only way to live a life of happiness was to be morally upstanding. I know a lot of times we get a bad rap in kink and BDSM communities as being deviants because we deviate from a certain vanilla view of things. But we have our own virtues, we have our own good virtues, we have our own way of being morally upstanding. Our culture has its own virtues. They just may not look exactly like the virtues of vanilla world, but we share a lot of the same kinds of things. Just like, where murder is bad in everyday life, we view murder as bad within BDSM. We're not looking to murder anyone within BDSM. We may do sadomasochistic things to one another, but our goal is not to ultimately injure anyone or anything we do to be fatal towards anyone else. Socrates attested that the only reason people do anything bad or unhealthy was out of moral ignorance. They aren't versed in the virtues and simply don't know any better. But if only one truly makes an effort to study and understand what Socrates said were the most important virtues for him, courage, justice, piety, and temperance, then that person will, of course, make every effort to live out those virtues all the time. Not sure I 100% agree with Socrates on this. I know some truly evil people. There are truly evil people in this world, people that act really evil, people that do evil things to other people. I have been introduced to some of these people through BDSM because BDSM sometimes gives some of these people a place to hide because they can make their actions look more like BDSM when in actuality they are abusive and rapey and they're just really evil people looking to do evil to other people. And Socrates believed this individual will be happy doing virtues. Socrates firmly believed that if people are educated in the moral ways, they will do what is right. And so it definitely has a certain idea about that, about people. He really kind of says that people are inherently good and inherently want to do good. I'm not sure if Socrates met the people that I have met in this world. So, he kind of starts out with the Socratic method, and the Socratic method is breaking things down starting with asking a lot of questions to try to come to a consensus, to kind of try to come to the truth. It's definitely one way to do ethics, and I think we'll see that Aristotle and Plato, they build upon his ideas, and they maybe make them a little bit better, maybe a little more, maybe they take into account humanity a little bit better, and are and take what their mentor started with, and expand upon it, and make ethics into a better, or make ethics a little clearer for us. And I think we'll see those things as we delve deeper into this topic and look more at Aristotle and Plato in upcoming podcast episodes. I'm Master Saturn. Thank you for joining me for this BDSM United podcast in our Kink Ethics 101. I definitely, don't want to scare anyone, even though I've seen some evil people and evilness. I think that most people genuinely are trying to do their best to fulfill other people's kinks and trying to do things ethically. They're trying their best, even when they're not educated in ethics, because we don't generally talk about such lofty things in BDSM. A lot of times you're going to get, like a lot of other podcasts, you're going to get the same things over and over again. You're going to get a lot of personal experiences. You may be able to draw some ethical conclusions based on other people's experiences, but most people aren't going to talk about the things that we talk about. But we're holistic. We like to talk about things that are deeper, and things that we found valuable. I had a lot of ethics courses in my formal university training. I have a university degree in biblical theology, and it's not exactly applicable to BDSM. But within that, we studied things like philosophy and the importance of a lot of these different kinds of ideas. And I think that they're important for BDSM and kink as well. You can find all of our resources at bdsmunited.com. You can find our own little kinky, not uncensored social space that we created for ourselves at mastersaturn.com. And it was a joy speaking with you today, and I look forward to talking with you again soon.